Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of Look Who's Talking, where this week we'll be discussing The Ghost Monument, the second episode of Series 11. So Chris, should we just jump right into it? What do you think?
I really enjoyed the episode this week. I don't think it was quite as good as The Woman Who Fell to Earth.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think what the premiere did really well that all good premieres do last week was to set up everything, say this is the tone, this is what we're doing. And I think the best thing about this week's episode was that tone was consistent. This was slower paced. This was a lot more breathing room. There were more character moments, and it just felt it was fun. I was entertained.
Yeah. The thing that I picked up on from this episode in relation to last episode is both the plots were so simple and focused. It was just, we need to get from A to B. Here's your kind of sci-fi element chucked in. It was just a race, and you got to learn a little bit about the culture between those two travellers that were in the race. Nice, simple, focused, let's get on with it. And I was really worried when the series began because they said it was all going to be one-parters. And obviously the last time we had all one-parters was Series 7, and that series really suffered from, in the last 15 minutes, they'd have this big sci-fi idea, they didn't know how to wrap up, and then suddenly there'd have to be this magic button, you know, to end it and wrap it up as soon as possible.
It's funny you say that because of the Series 7 episodes, Chris Chibnall obviously wrote the one with the biggest magic button in the whole bloody franchise, which is The Power of Three, which is excellent for 40 minutes, and then the final 5 minutes you have the alien, the end, Deus Ex Machina, done. Whereas this felt like, oh, we've taken some time here. I think a bit like last week, I did enjoy the villain. I don't think it was the greatest villain in Doctor Who history, but I think what I'm kind of enjoying about this new Who is I don't think the villains are necessarily the in point. The most interesting stuff this week came from the sort of the set pieces.
Yeah.
And the best moment of the episode for me was when Ryan ran out to do the Call of Duty thing, ran back in. That felt very Doctor Who.
Yes. And it proves unequivocally that they need to outthink them. Like, there's no way. And the companions have all learned that they're not going to be going around shooting up the place, which was really neat.
And speaking of the companions, I mean, we said this for last week, but Graham is the standout again this week. I thought he had all the good, the best lines in the episode. Just off the top of my head, the bit where he was like, "Oh, your mum's nice. Sounds nice."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That felt very authentic.
Sounds terrific.
Yeah, that felt very
was
authentic. Nice. It felt very nice. But also, he got probably the best character moment of the episode when him and Ryan were chatting.
Yes.
And he was probably the more resourceful. There was constant moments in the episode where he was pointing stuff out. My issue at the moment is I don't really know who Yaz is.
No, she didn't really get much to do, and I thought that bit where she mentioned her mum and her sister and dad was just a bit forced, and I was like, I don't really care. And if they're going to show us the family, I want them to do it properly and have that be the crux of her episode rather than just being chucked in like that.
I think the problem is at the moment is you had that ending of episode 1 that you didn't really get to see a lot of, which was cool for setting up that they're travelling, and now you've kind of got to deal with the fallout of the moments between Ryan and Graham to talk about Grace. But what's motivating Yaz at the moment other than she was there with them? I don't know who she is. And I thought she was a bit underdeveloped last week, and we talked about this in the last episode in that, you know, Chris Chibnall had said that different episodes will focus on different characters, and what I'm really hoping is that I'm not writing off Yaz yet, I just don't think she's had her episode yet.
I still think the weakest character so far has been Ryan, despite that.
I disagree.
Really?
I
think Yaz had enough to do last week. I think she's a better actor, and I liked that she feels that she needs to be tested. I think she's going to prove herself in a big way to come, whereas everything that Ryan's kind of dealing with, the fallout of Grace's death, is kind of tied into Graham, who is a better actor and has been a better character so far. So I'm not too sold on him yet. I think he's the weakest of the entire TARDIS team.
But I think they've given the most space to Ryan, and I think just by the fact that we know a lot about him, I think for me puts him above Yaz by the sheer fact that I know who he is.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like, you know, if there was an alien popping out in front of Yaz, I don't know what she's going to do. At this point, I get that Ryan is both kind of cowardly and impulsive, but also, when it comes down to it, is quite brave, was trying to think on the feet. I get this feeling that he's going to clash a lot with the Doctor from today.
Right.
He's like that shooting scene for me, that seems like something that's going to happen again.
Yeah. That was a weird moment for me, because although it was funny and it really echoed the bit in New Hope when Han Solo runs in on those stormtroopers and then there's way too many of them and then he like runs straight back out. It seemed weird that they let him go out, because she didn't know that he wasn't going to come back. Like, that should have killed him. It was just pure luck that he ran back in time. I feel like that's something the Doctor would have been like, no, you're not going.
I said this to you while we were watching as well. This is the second week that Ryan has done something that's directly jeopardised the team. So obviously, week 1 he activated the thing that brought Tim Shaw to Earth.
Yeah.
This week he ran out and then he brought the assassins into the room.
Yeah.
I hope this isn't a recurring thing that like Ryan messes up and then as a result the other characters are resourceful. And what did you think of the actual location and the setting?
I think it looked absolutely fantastic, and that they are making full use of all the locations, all the budgets. When you think about it, there wasn't really that much to it again. Like as in with last week, it was all the way it was shot, the way they used the locations. The monsters were those robots, weren't they?
Yeah.
For a little while, and then there was those CGI kind of.
Not to sound like a nerd, but they really reminded me of the Raston robots from the Five Doctors. You know, the automated silver things that can just like pinpoint, which I felt was quite good. I mean, I get this feeling that obviously Chibnall is a massive classic nut. I mean, people have known there's that clip of him somewhere, isn't there, where he's calling out Jonathan Nathan Turner.
She did the Aikido, didn't she?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's a third Doctor callback. I feel like there's enough. This is the thing. I think he's doing the correct thing, which I don't think Moffat ever got of. You can do fan service in a very subtle way. Like I don't need to know that John Pertwee knew Venusian Aikido in classic to enjoy that she did Venusian Aikido. Do you know what I mean? I think he's very good at that. They really took time to do some really interesting shots. That long take.
Yes.
When they were on board the ship, that was all one shot.
That was really cool.
Like that was all one shot. I've never seen a long
fantastic
take.
as well. The ship design, the
production
production design
crashing down as well.
That was really cool. Although they did go to the Prometheus school of running away from ships, which did bother me a bit. Like, just run left or right. Why?
No, but then you get that cool moment of them going, as it comes into the camera.
And then when the Doctor came out of the dust, that was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the design of the robots was great. They looked like the Geth to me from Mass Effect. And they were really creepy, like when they weren't moving. I thought the bit that was really stand out was when they were over that porthole and they were looking out through the camera feed and they were just stood there. Like, that was creepy as hell.
Yeah, he's really got at the moment the balance between sort of making it really fun, making it creepy, making it funny, and making it emotional. That kind of like ideal recipe that you want.
It was perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
I've not seen Infinity War, but the point is that should I be revealing that to our subs? Yeah, Matt's the guy who does all the Marvel essays. I don't really, I've not seen Infinity War.
I got you. Don't worry.
Yeah, so good luck, Thanos. Is he the good guy? Is he the good guy? Is he making the universe a better place?
Well, maybe, debatably, yes.
Oh no, I am disappearing. That's that Spider-Man bit, isn't it? Anyway. Back to Doctor Who. What we got to see a lot of new things tonight as well. We got to see new titles. We got to see the new opening theme music properly, rather than that terrible rendition that they had at the end of credits.
It came off a lot better this time round.
Definitely.
Like now that we've heard it and it's settled in a bit more. Also, I think her costume's less abrasive to the eyes now. Now that I've seen her running around in it, the coat seemed a bit clunky. It seemed a bit too long when she first came out with it last week, but this week, seeing it in motion, I'm fully on board now.
And again, with Whittaker, she is the Doctor now when I'm watching it. I'm not like, oh, I'm picturing Peter Capaldi. Oh, I'm picturing Matt Smith. Like, she is the Doctor to me right now. Like, I've not noticed anything that I'm like, that doesn't seem doctory.
Yeah.
I still want a speech or something.
I don't know, I'm really liking that there's nothing like that. Like, you look at something, an episode like Listen, where he's like, oh, fear is a superpower and all this crap. And then you compare it to today's episode where Ryan's scared of going up the ladder because of his dyspraxia, and she's just going like, "You've really impressed me. Like, you can do this sort of thing." You know what I mean? It's like how someone would talk to someone else to get them to do something, rather than being this big.
I do agree. I don't know. This feels a slightly less quotable version of the show. When you're watching Moffat, obviously you're getting rapid fire dialogue, gags, notable things. I don't necessarily think that's a criticism, because I think Moffat had a tendency to just think, oh, that'll make a good quote. Yeah, that'll be a good quote pull. That'll be a good quote
browser history jokes left, right, and centre.
Yeah, exactly.
Were never funny.
But I would quite like it's something of a this is the Doctor's moment from the season. Yeah. Which and that took an entire season for Peter Capaldi to get that. So that doesn't mean that we're not going to get that. Yeah. But I would really like I am the Doctor kind of thing that we haven't seen yet. But that's again, none of this is really critical.
No, it's just what you're expecting and what you're getting.
Yeah, this is a solid episode again.
And I still think there's time for all that to happen. I think the main point of this episode was really just to build on those relationships and for you to see the TARDIS at the end. It was all leading towards that. I thought it was really neat that that was the Ghost Monument. I like that they didn't have it as the big twist in the last 5 minutes. Like, as soon as we were both like, it's probably the TARDIS, they just revealed that it was the TARDIS.
Yeah, because it was like, what else could it be? And if the whole episode had been like, I wonder what it is, it's like that implies to me that they would have thought that the viewers were stupid. I mean, it's a guessable, it doesn't need to be a big twist.
Yeah. What did you think of the two races?
They were okay, and they were more developed than a lot of Doctor Who stock characters. The problem I always had with Moffat was that when they did Base Under Siege stories, and by Moffat, just to clarify, I don't mean necessarily that Moffat wrote this, I just mean Moffat stories in Moffat's era. There seemed to be a sort of they're just all, throwaway characters, I don't really care about who they are. At least this week they came to give them a backstory. I didn't think Epso was as interesting. No. And I feel like they were banking on Epso being the one that I was like, oh, he's so moody, he's so cool. I didn't really care about him in the same way.
I was hoping he'd get a nasty death.
Yeah, he just seemed like an unpleasant person. There wasn't a narrative reason for him to really circle round.
The thing that I didn't like is they've pinned all their hopes and dreams of a happy life onto winning this race. They seem very chill about the fact that they're in the same boat together and that they're facing each other, like even like to the 11th hour, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where they're about to win or lose, they just seem quite relaxed about it, which doesn't really ring true when they're sitting in that boat saying like, oh, all our families are on the run and we really need this. It's like, do you?
Why did they get on the boat together? So if I was Epso, I would have just literally ran onto the boat, shut the doors and been like,
yeah.
That's, but they weren't really, it wasn't about the race, was it? It was about the set pieces.
No, but it feels a bit of a misnomer to make it out that this race is so important and then it's not really that important.
No, exactly. So coming back to sort of the final moments of the episode, I do have to kind of agree with you in a sense, in that as I said, I didn't feel that the two things were succinct. However, what I thought was cool, and obviously we knew it was a lie all along in the way that lies always are with these production things, is that there is an arc.
Yes,
The Stenza are coming back. Now, I didn't think Tim Shaw was the world's greatest villain, but as we were saying, he wasn't very good at being a Stenza.
No, he was a loser.
That was the point.
Yeah,
he was a lame Stenza. And the fact that all we had as a mention is they've wiped out whole planets.
Yeah.
Nothing else. That's all we've heard about them. I think that's quite interesting. If we keep getting that kind of thing of almost like the bees in series 4 of, the bees are going.
Yes.
That's really odd.
I think without a doubt they're going to be the finale threat.
Yeah.
Now. And he was Tim Shaw was intimidating. And he was a loser, and he had no weaponry, which means they're only going to get better. I really want to see what their culture's going to be like. I want to see more about this hunting that they do. I hope they go full Predator with them.
My only reservation with them is that, they're all coming. I mean, we generally agree on this, but things are always scarier in smaller numbers. I don't want to see a million CGI ships holding the Earth. That doesn't feel scary to me.
I want to see them hungry and maybe on the back foot.
The most effective thing about Journey's End and the Stolen Earth isn't that there are millions of Dalek ships all around the Earth. It's that you get those isolated bits where there's 2 Daleks on the streets.
Yes.
It's a single Dalek executing Harriet Jones. It's a single Dalek shooting the Doctor. It's never, there are 100 million Daleks.
Davros is interesting because he's in the basement and they treat him like crap.
Exactly. It's always that. In Doomsday, it's not when the pods start spitting out 1 million Daleks. It's when there's 3 Daleks and they take down the entire army of Cybermen.
I completely agree.
I want that again. It's got to be an Aliens to this Alien.
Yes,
It doesn't. It won't work if it's just millions of CGI creatures. But I haven't seen the episode, so that's not even a criticism. That's just a speculation.
But I like that they dropped that in as if to say, don't worry, this is building towards something more than just character work. There's going to be a strong threat throughout the series.
How would you feel if in the finale, the whole thing, like they were literally coming to the point that they were going to eradicate the Earth, and the Doctor was like, why are you doing this? And they were like, oh, in our culture, throwing salad at someone is a sign of like war. What? So that's a serious question.
So do you think that the Doctor will have to go back to the point where Salad Man was about to die, and then they pick him up, and it's a bit like in Face the Raven, slash Hellbent, which is a great episode. It's not. Don't hit the unsubscribe button. And they pull him out of his time stream. And they're like, you're Salad Man. You don't know it yet, but you're the key to all this.
Okay, so obviously that would both be terrible. But if they had the audacity to do that, I would give the whole series a 10. Like I would go on IMDb, I would 10 every episode.
We haven't seen What Salad Man's Family for the fact that he died. His final words could have been anything, and it was "Eat my salad, Halloween." Like,
I mean, if you're gonna go out, go on at a high, don't you?
Exactly.
Anyway, I am excited that there is an arc. I wasn't one of those people, and I think I touched on this in the last video, but I wasn't one of those people who was like, "Oh no, there's no arc. I won't be watching this anymore."
Yeah.
But I'm happy there is one. I can deal with that. If they're going to do it subtly, if it's going to be like this, I'm so down for this.
Yeah.
So really, the biggest question of all is, how many milks would we give it?
How many milks would I give it?
Actually, that's not a rating system. I've done this again, haven't I? Is it full fat, semi-skimmed, or skimmed? Hopefully next week I'll get the rating system right.
I think it was. Well, see, this is why I don't like to give ratings, because I'd say it was semi-skimmed, but it's closer to skimmed. But that's not because it's bad. It's just not. It was serviceable, wasn't it? Whereas I gave last week a semi-skimmed, but last week was way better, which just inherently shows the flaw in.
Yeah, because next
systems.
week could be the greatest episode of all time, and then everything will just be void that we've said, because then we'll almost have to push everything down.
Yeah.
I would give it a semi-skimmed. I think in the pantheon, I can't say that seriously, but I think in the pantheon of episode 2s of Doctor Who, it's 100% in the top half.
Yes.
Of the New Who, that is. Of the New Who, where episode 2 functions to like show the companions in a different setting to which they're comfortable. I think it's better than The Beast Below. I thought so.
I have a soft spot for The Beast Below. I'm going to say no.
I think there's too many ideas being chucked, too many salads being chucked at the the wall in that episode. Do you know what I mean? But we're not discussing The Beast Below. But I thought it was better than The Beast Below.
I don't think it's better than Day of the Moon. It is better than
Into Dalek.
It's better than Dinosaurs on a Spaceship.
Yeah, it's in the top.
Good
half,
old Chris has outdone himself.
It's better than End of the World, isn't it, as well?
I don't know. I quite like the End of the World, and I really like that bit at the end where they're talking and they go get chips and stuff like that.
Do you think next week? What are your thoughts on the Rosa Parks thing?
I don't think we've seen enough. We have no idea what the threat is. It seems to be a human with alien technology, which could be interesting.
I think it would be mainly interesting because this is the first episode from a new writer. So it's like, what's Chibnall's vision when it's being written by someone else?
Yes.
Is interesting to me, which kind of leaves me more excited than I was last week for Doctor Who. It's done that same thing again, where I'm like, I want Saturday to come now, not Saturday, Sunday. I'm still getting used to that new airtime. It's done that same thing for me this week.
Before we wrap up, we haven't really gone into detail on the TARDIS interior, have we?
No, we haven't.
I really like it. It feels very Tennant in shape and console design. The only thing I really miss is that there's no levels anymore. I think that was a vast improvement on the Tennant / Eccleston TARDIS, was with series 5 to 10, every single TARDIS design, well, all two of them. You had the main level, didn't you? Then you had the underneath. You did get steps leading up to things. You know, the Capaldi, it felt very lived in with the bookcases and that kind of stuff. I really, really, really dug that. And this was obviously lacking that.
I do actually prefer it to Tennant and Eccleston's TARDIS, though, in a sense of like, you walk into it and there's so much space. I think that's quite interesting that it's just a central console, which is something, it feels in depth to classic, where there's actually nothing there, which I think is more interesting than when you used to walk in and there was like panels and things like that. Like it feels more like a strange control room. Right. I'm pro it. I agree with you. I think still Smith Series 5 TARDIS is the best, followed by Capaldi's.
I really, really like the Series 8 to 10 TARDIS. Again, I like the things like the bookcases and the levels. It just feels like he can spend all his time there. Whereas this is like a bit cold and not in a nice way. It just feels like, again, with the Tennant TARDIS, I'm like, he spends his entire day in, day out there. Like, it just feels empty. But I did like it. I liked there was CGI stuff around them in like some of the corners of the wall, and it feels like it's a machine that's ticking away.
And we didn't get a master shot until the end, which is always nice. Like, it was nice seeing all the little details like go in, and they were like, hey, just in case you missed it, they gave the companions the exact same tour walk, which I thought was quite a little neat. So it's like, oh, I've seen this. Oh, I recognise this again. It was like ramming home, like this is where they are now. And I think though, overall, as I've said last week, I'm very sold on Series 11. I'm very sold on it.
I'm sold on it. I'm all in. I mean, we were going to watch it every week anyway. If not just for the purposes of this video series. But yeah, no, I've been enjoying it so far.
Yeah,
something needs to drop that's like instant classic Who for me, for it to really kick in.
But the baseline aggregate is there.
Yes,
and I think that's the important thing. Like, the base is there to have really good episodes. I'm really excited to see how it goes.
Last week we made a joke about credit cards, and I think about 2 people in the comments took it really seriously and thought that we really did want kids to send their parents debit card numbers.
And they were absolutely correct, kids. So if you... No, I'm kidding.
So we'd just like to clarify that we were in fact joking, if it wasn't obvious already. What we really want is cold, hard cash, printed, mailed, so it's right there and there. We don't want to screw around with no computers. So reach into your parents' wallet tonight. Get the Sonic notes out, and we'll drop our address below.
No, but seriously,
if you are under 12 and you are watching, you don't need to send us anything. So yeah, let us know in the comments what you thought, and we will respond, get a little bit of a dialogue going, and see us next week for another Look Who's Talking.
Bye, guys.
But bye from me, more importantly.
Oh, right, okay. I mean, the doors will be closing by now anyway, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
Don't forget to click below and subscribe to the official Full Fat Videos YouTube channel.